So good morning, everybody. This is Tim Bennett. I'm calling from the Philippines today. I'm based in Manila. So this is Wednesday, the 10th of April. And I know for some of you, it's Tuesday the 9th. So I am coming from your future. And today I have a very special guest, Mr. Michael Perlin. He was introduced to me about 1 month ago by one of my awesome friends and dear mentors, Gina Gaudio-Graves. And since then, Michael and I have talked a great deal, and we're going to be doing some amazing things, which you're going to hear about today. So without any further ado, let me welcome Mr. Michael Perlin. Michael, good morning, good evening.
Hi, I'm so excited. This is wonderful. Thank you.
It's great to have you here. And as I said, we met about 1 month ago, and I felt as soon as I heard your interview with Gina and Linda, there was a connection. Something touched me about your messages and the way you speak, and I was really intrigued to get to know you better. And I shot you an email, and you replied very quickly, which I was really happy to see. And then we actually had a discussion about, 3 weeks ago?
Yep.
And we talked about a lot of different things, but we also talked about your movie that's coming up very shortly. Actually, it's been released already, hasn't it? The Three Magic Words.
Yep, it's been out.
So maybe just before we get going, you could just give an introduction of yourself to the audience so they can get to know you a little bit better.
Absolutely. Well, I'll start out saying that I basically call myself the first metaphysical filmmaker in Hollywood. And I gave myself that title because the message that, the research that I did for about 25 years in metaphysics covered everything from all the world religions to Eastern mysticism to the esoteric, and I didn't see anybody bringing that stuff into Hollywood, making movies about it. It seemed like everybody was just scared to go there. And so I decided to do that, and I didn't know if I was gonna succeed or not. I just had it in me to just try, and really with nothing at all, with no money, I came to LA, sleeping in my car. I know you've heard a lot of people have stories like that. Jim Carrey is one of them, and just worked my way up. Worked in all kinds of production offices and film schools, and even went back to school at St. Monica College, and then I just worked up and learned the trade. And then I put this movie together called Three Magic Words. And so this is my first feature film that luckily received major distribution, which is kind of unheard of for a first-time filmmaker with a very low budget to create something that was, the quality good enough to get that. So I kind of have a very unique story, and I have a goal now to bring it all over the world in every major language.
That's really awesome. And obviously we're not going to tell anyone right now what the Three Magic Words are, because you got to watch the movie to find out. How long ago was this? How long ago was it that you were sleeping in your car?
Oh, that was about 12 years ago.
Okay, so this is nothing new. This is a long-time profession then, yeah?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of things and writing screenplays, actually, that none of them ever being sold. And then that's when I decided, okay, I've got to make my own movie. Nobody wants this stuff, because they kept giving me the same thing. This genre is not commercial. And I'm like, okay, wait 10 years, we'll see how commercial it is. That's what I kept thinking. And so it seems to be something people want now. People are looking for this. They're wondering what's next. How do we change the world? How do we bring everyone together? Stop fighting wars, end the violence, and really create love and unity on the planet. And people are really searching for that answer. And this is my 2 cents. I was searching for a common theme in all the teachings from all the spiritual masters in history, and this common theme came to me from a book I picked up when I was deep in my studies in metaphysics. And then I said, okay, this is the theme. I got to make a movie about it. And so this is my answer to that.
Fantastic. And I watched the movie about 2 weeks ago, and it really is awesome, Michael.
Oh, thank you.
It
Yeah.
touched me very deeply. I was like, wow.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and a lot of people tell me that it's really been a transformation for them, and I don't. A lot of people are like, why can't you just tell me the three magic words, so I don't have to see the movie? And
Yep.
I'm like, well, why would I? Why would you want to hear the end of a movie? Don't you want to be moved by the movie? And that's the whole. That's the goal of the movie. It's supposed to move you and shift your way of thinking and really get you out of the programming that you had from society and parenting and TV and religion. And it brings you into a universal understanding of um, who you are and what, as a being on this planet. Really, it's super universal message.
And I think I agree with you in that you have to see the movie to understand the context of the magic words.
Absolutely, it's a self-realization. It's like a self. It takes you on a path of self-discovery, and you really got to go through that. A lot of people have never even heard of this concept before when they get to the end. So I call it a wake-up call, and so that's why I definitely recommend watching the film all the way through, and even at the very end, even after through, because there's a surprise throughout the credit roll that a lot of people miss because they don't stay through it. So,
Indeed, indeed. You have to watch it right to the last second now.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Now, one of the reasons that I started doing all of these interviews was I actually just released my second movie called Bad Romance out here in the Philippines. We had the gala night on Tuesday, and today we actually, in about an hour and a half, we actually go into the cinemas live for the first time. So today's an exciting day for me. I'm kind of nervous, and I have no idea what's going to happen with the amount of people that's
Yep.
coming. But
I know that feeling.
I'm leaving it in the hands of the universe right now. And as I was putting together the movie with the directors and all the people around me, I was really shocked at the way the independent industry was working or not working. I was watching people really struggling to create any kind of good movie because they had no finance.
Yeah.
They had enough money to get going, but not to get finished. And there were just this constant stream of begging going on. And I thought there has to be a better way. So what I decided to do was to start interviewing people who have completed movies like yourself and to see if we could pull out some of the secrets to making movies and creating finance. And, I have already, I think, 5 or 6 other interviews, which are on my site at argonette.com. And what I wanted to do today was sort of walk through the process of how you put all this movie together and the obstacles that you came across so that, the people listening can pull out things from there and say, maybe I can use this for my movie as well, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
how did you get started with this movie? Did you write the script or was this a script that was given to you or what?
No, I wrote it. It was I picked up a book off the shelf in the used book section one day. This was back in 1992, where you had to actually go to the bookstore. There was no internet. You had to go look and walk around, and there wasn't even the new age section yet. There was like just used books. And so I happened to stumble upon this book by U.S. Anderson called Three Magic Words. He's not alive anymore. And then that's where the common theme just came up for me, and then I decided that I was going to start writing that script. But I didn't start writing it until I moved to L.A. and didn't sell any of my screenplays, my other metaphysical screenplays. And then when I decided to go ahead and make my own film, I didn't have any money. I was working a 9-to-5 job. I was getting fired left and right, living on unemployment. And so after one job that fired me, I decided to just use that time to write the screenplay. And I also used I created a script writer's chart, which is kind of like a really simple chart to use for screenwriters that go through the 3-act structure and superimpose all the great screenwriting gurus, their formulas on top of it, like Sid Field and Joseph Campbell and Richard Haig or Michael Haig. And so I used that to write the script to get the structure in there. And then I finished it up in about 6 months, and then it was it. I was like, okay, now what am I going to do with this? I have the screenplay now. I've got to start doing something. So I went on eBay, and this is what you do when you have no money and you're really determined to make a film. Because what I learned is when you push yourself and you just to put the steps in to make a movie, the money eventually catches up to you, because you start to learn, you start to know what you're doing, you start to meet the people, and so that's how it happened. To make a long story short, I went on eBay and I bought a green screen for like $20. I stuck it on my wall in my apartment, and made it nice and tight. And I learned about lighting because I was actually back in school now at Santa Monica College, learning lighting and post-production. And see, I wouldn't recommend doing this unless you have the time, but it took me 2 years going back to school to learn post-production, graphics, editing, titling, animation. And I did that because I had given up on trying to get people hiring crew because the money wasn't there. I'm like, all right, well, then I'm going to have to learn to wear every hat if I'm going to make this film, and if I'm not going to get an investor. This was my mindset at the time. And so I did that. And, I wouldn't recommend doing that unless you have you're going to be able to do all that technical stuff. But so I got out of school. I learned all this stuff. I started interviewing the people, the human potential speakers, and the best-selling book authors with a friend of mine, Maura Hoffman, who helped me gather the people together. And we just brought them in and started interviewing them and started asking them the questions that pertain to the theme. And I didn't really. The script was just an outline without the interviews in it. So I had to take every interview. I got fired again from the current job. And then I spent like 3 months at Starbucks transcribing every interview in a Word document, and then categorizing everything that went in the according to the script I wrote. So I just had to categorize and highlight the best parts of each interview. Again, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Having let someone else do it. And then it was time. Then I had the interviews. I had them all on a mini DV. I first started shooting on a PD 150, which everyone knows is not an HD camera because this was before HD came out. Mm-hmm. And then when HD came out, I was able to get enough money together to buy an HD camera and start shooting the drama, the dramatization sequences. And again, this is a documentary, so it wasn't that big of a deal to shoot on weekends and whenever I could get the actors together. Probably not a good idea for a drama. You're going to need to keep the consistency, of course, and a schedule. But since that's why I chose to do a documentary also, because I knew that I didn't have a budget and I didn't have a schedule. So I actually shot these scenes on weekends. Now you want to hear about the obstacles I had to overcome? That wasn't any so far. Go.
Yep, go ahead.
We shot about. Yeah, there's more.
Just to jump in a minute, I've got a few questions from Dan. Just to let you know, Dan, we'll come back to your questions shortly, so hang in there.
Okay. Just interrupt me if I'm going too long.
Sure.
Okay. I haven't revealed this much detail before with any radio show yet, so you're getting some cool stuff here.
Privileged.
So there are about 30 scenes I think that I had to shoot left, and I got about 25. 5 more scenes I needed the actors to show up. It was a father and her daughter that were in the scene. They were the lead in the scene. And we had 5 more scenes to shoot. The day came up, and there was no phone call, no show. No, he didn't return my calls. Months went by, and he never returned a call. I had 5 more scenes to shoot. And I was like, all right, after about a month, it wasn't months, it was about a month. I said, all right, I guess he's not going to continue shooting these scenes. I'm going to have to rewrite the screenplay. So then I had to go back and try to take the scenes out and I went to edit the film myself. I was not even a Mac person at the time. This is a really funny story. I've never really told anyone this. I was working on a 15-inch Sony Vaio with Sony Vegas software. And so I was putting together the scenes that I had. And basically, if you know anything about the old computers, 2001, I think this computer was, or maybe a little bit newer. Yeah, it was newer because that was my first one. It was, but anyway, it was overheating, so I had to get an ice pack out of the fridge, put underneath the laptop while it rendered for 3 days, the entire film.
Wow.
And that was the rough cut version that no one's ever seen. That version was a disaster. It was incomplete, missing scenes. The story never came together after that. So that's when I decided, all right, I did my thing. I tried it, tried my hand in filmmaking. I'm just going to stick this on the shelf and, go and write my book. And I just kind of started looking for another job. Then a friend of mine who really cared about what I was doing said, you know what, I'm going to show this to my dad because he's in the industry, he's a producer, and he knows editors that could probably fix your film for you. And I'm like, yeah, well, fixing would help. That would be nice. So the DVD went to his dad. The dad called me up. He said, I know an editor that can reshoot your entire movie. He goes, here's all the problems it has in it. And he named all these problems. Bad camera, bad editing, all this stuff. I'm like, okay. Who's this guy? And so I went to meet the guy. He said he was going to reshoot it. He was going to rescore it, everything, recast it even, and make the whole film for not that much. But it was still money I didn't have. So I said, how about we just do a trailer? So I paid him $1,000 to do a trailer. Trailer was okay. I took it home and I put my own twist on it and I stuck it on the internet. All right, and I just did it because I was like, this was the most I could do at the time. I just like, all right, I'm going to do a trailer. I said I was going to do this film. I've got to see if I can just get somebody out there to give me this money to give to this guy. And so I put the trailer out. And a guest in the film that we shot who did an interview saw the trailer, and he sent me an email. He said, how much do you need? How much do you need to finish the film? And I said, here, I want this much, and he gave it to me. I'm not even going to say what it is because no one would believe me.
Wow.
But he gave me the finishing funds. The guy reshot it, rescored it, re-edited it. This guy that did it was a miracle worker. He was able to do all this stuff and recreate the movie into the way it is now. I sat in his apartment for 3 months with no sleep because we had a deadline to get this film to Goodney Goodnison, who was the guest in the film who gave us the money, and for his Toronto screening. We had to get it done by November to his Toronto screening. So we sat there for 3 months and worked on the film together and put it together, and I had no idea it was going to come out as magical as it did. I didn't even know it did come out magical until I got a call back from the Toronto people that were just blown away, and I'm just like, I'm like, what? And, I was pretty surprised myself. You never know. You just sit there as a filmmaker, and you're like, you just want to get through it and get it done and say, all right, so if they don't like it, I'll learn from the experience and then I'll do better on the next film.
Yeah, what an amazing story. And I tell you what, Michael, there seems to be a connection between filmmakers and entrepreneurs. This is the story you're telling is a story of the average entrepreneur. Keeps getting fired, doesn't have enough money, has to do everything himself to get started. And there's a real big connection, which I think is why I'm so much attracted to both. They're very similar journeys.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I became an entrepreneur when this film, because I've been struggling for so long, because I've been in and out of jobs, because, I couldn't keep any money in the bank. My car kept breaking down. I couldn't even buy a nice jacket. When the film did well, I knew that was my it. And I said, okay, if this is my product, this is my pet rock. If people like this, then I'm going to go crazy with it. And that's when I started learning how to market an independent film. And it wasn't. I wouldn't say that it was solely about the money because this was a labor of love. It was really about the message and getting this done because I said to myself and I promised myself that I wanted to make a movie on this message. But the fact that it did well gave me, the icing on the cake. Okay, well then I'm going to have an income for myself as well, and I'm going to learn everything I need to know.
But while we're
So
talking about money, this is probably quite a good moment just to jump over to one of Dan's questions. And he's asking about product placement and crowdfunding. Did you actually use either product placement or crowdfunding to get any money for your movie?
the only thing that I used to get money for the movie was putting the trailer on online, on Facebook and on the website, and then pushing out the trailer and blogging it, saying here's a new movie, and that's now people are using Kickstarter and
Yeah.
all those cool sites, and they're using their trailer.
Yeah,
For a movie, it's the trailer.
yeah, and I've heard this so many times before about how the trailer has to be really great because it does bring in the initial interest.
Yep.
And I was watching Malcolm Spurlock's movie, The Greatest Movie Ever Sold, which is all about product placement. And Dan, if you haven't seen that, I thoroughly recommend that you get a copy of it because it's very awesome. And I know that for a lot of people, product placement is an option and crowdfunding is an option. He actually says he changed the coffee machine. He's actually putting together a project at the moment, and he needs about 1.6 million. He has 250,000 already, and the 250,000 came in by swapping out the coffee machine for a Coke machine, and they gave him money because of that, which is pretty damn awesome if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely swap out a coffee machine for a Coke machine for that kind of cash. In your next movies, would you take that as an option, product placement and crowdfunding as a route to go?
Absolutely. Why not? Yeah, why not?
Great. And then we had an interview last week with Georgina Hilton. She was saying that social media has a huge role to play in promoting a film. And I guess in a way, you putting your trailer up online is similar to that. Get your audience emotionally involved and connected to the film before you start crowdfunding is what she's suggesting. How does that sound to you as a solution as well?
Yeah, right now, when you're marketing a film, it's the internet is it's changed everything. I mean, it's they're telling you now that you want to, get that website ready, get the blogs out there, get the trailer up, get connected on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, and even using Google Plus now with YouTube, and just shoot as many things, videos and interviews and behind the scenes. And I mean, there's a lot that I've learned from so many people that they're doing, and I learned a lot by watching other independent filmmakers and seeing what they're doing, and just going to their websites and seeing what they've done on it and what they're connecting it to, and backlinks and all that stuff. I think is the best possible way you can promote your movie if you're not using your funds toward a publicity or a marketing plan or a company that does it for you. I mean, that's the first route I would take, because it has to be done. If you're not on the internet, then you're just going to be a word of mouth thing, and I think the internet comes first before the word of mouth.
Yeah, I mean, internet really has changed the way we communicate with each other, hasn't it?
Oh yeah.
And I think about
Absolutely.
50% of all searching is now done on mobile devices, so you need to be ready for that as well. And
Yeah.
I know in Georgina's case, she's got a Facebook page up. They want to get to at least 1,000 likes before they start their crowdfunding. And they're documenting the whole thing because they're actually making a full-length feature movie, and they're trying to do it for $75,000. They want to do minimum budget but maximum impact. They want to make it look like a $2 million movie, and they're going to document everything so that we can learn from it as well.
Yeah, and that can be done. You can make a $2 million looking movie with $75,000. It's all you got to do is get the right cinematographer, and have the right story and the right editing and effects. And if you have good enough crew members to work on your film for you, it's not going to look any different than a Hollywood film. You just got to get people that really, really are experts, and then a lot of them will do it for a lot less.
And there were two comments, one that I'd like to make. One is you went, without realizing, I think, you went into the crew of the movie and got money from within the people that you already know. One of them approached you and said, can I give you the money? And they were already part of your movie. And
Exactly.
again, there were so many examples of people like Tom Hanks. I think Tom Hanks did Private Ryan without getting paid up front, and he took a cut later on and made about $40 million or something from Private Ryan, which was awesome. But a lot of the people involved in the movie, they already believe in the movie because they're in it. And a lot of
It's
these
product placement.
absolutely, yeah.
Like it's product placement. Yeah, they're going to help. It's going to help them, and it's going to promote them, and whatever they're doing, and they're if they help you. So yeah, there you go.
And I think there's also a really good incentive on their end to help you promote the movie because they haven't been paid up front. They're going to get earnings from profitability. And if they help you promote, they will earn more money. So, I think it's an awesome way to do things, to look at the people already in the movie to raise cash because they're already committed anyway. But secondly, the other thing that I noticed about you was your willingness to take criticism and to give away your baby a little bit into other people's hands and not just, this is my movie and I'm doing it my way.
Yeah, let me tell you about that. So many people are afraid to put their movie up, to give it to people. They put a watermark all the way across from it. And I did that at first on the rough cut. And then I started to realize that my goal wasn't to hoard the film and not let anybody else profit from it. That goal as a filmmaker, your goal, you have to remember it's not that. It's not about making money off your movie and being afraid people are going to steal the idea before you get your movie made. Your goal is to get that movie out there and seen and take the watermark off of it. Before you get distribution, let people download it, let people rent it for a small fee. There's all these sites that'll do it for you. One called Film Binder. You just you encode the movie on there, and people pay you like $2 or $3.
What's that site?
And it's called Film Binder. That's what I use. You can rent the film out. And they'll go to you instead of iTunes because they're not going to find it on iTunes yet before you have distribution. So once you're done, you can put it on a film site like Film Binder, and you can also sell your DVD. But don't worry about people taking it or copying it or stealing it because that's going to happen anyway. People are going to get it from YouTube, and put parts of it on YouTube or whatever. You want that. That's what I say. I don't feel any pressure from competition, from people stealing my ideas, because I want my ideas out there. If somebody, and this brings up another point, if I have a screenplay that I'm writing, and somebody wants to, and I'm afraid to tell someone about it, they better sign a disclosure agreement so they don't steal the idea. No, I tell them about it because guess what? If they go and they make a film about it, and they want to spend years of their life and thousands of dollars, then fine. There'll be 2 movies out there like that. Even better. I get my message out there twice. Or I don't even do it. Somebody did it for me. So that's the way I look at things. I don't feel any competition. I don't feel like anybody's out to get me ever. That's just going to put obstacles in your path.
I think that's a great comment. And, if you plan for these issues, they're not an issue.
Right.
So we're actually thinking about doing a similar thing. We were toying with the idea of actually giving away our movie. Not the movie that we're launching today, but we have another movie coming up. And we're thinking, let's get the money up front, make the movie, take a little bit for ourselves, and just give the movie away. And that will keep our sponsors happy. And at the same time, it removes all of our marketing headache and copying headaches and all that. We plan for it up front. And we're kind of looking at that. But very interesting comments you're making here. And, I like the idea of, it's a bit like sometimes you wonder why there's a McDonald's next door to a Wendy's, next door to a Kentucky. But they don't fight each other. They actually help and complement each other because the people that are going there want food, primarily fast food, and they actually support each other. So if you did have someone who went out and made a similar movie, it would support you.
Yeah. I was just thinking about Petco and PetSmart when you said that. They're always right across from each other. You're like, where do I go?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then Dan is asking, what about optioning a movie to a production company? Any thoughts on that?
What about what?
Optioning. I'm not really sure.
Optioning a movie to a production company?
Yeah.
Why not? See, here's the thing about you gotta, all your options, you're looking for the best possible thing to happen when you make a film or when you're in the process of making a film. And if you just kind of say no to everything that comes your way, it's never going to get anywhere. So if that comes before anything else, I'd say yes. I'd go with it. I'd go for it. See what offer they have for me.
Yeah, and I guess the main objective for any filmmaker is to fill seats. So whatever way you fill seats or downloads or to get that movie out there is the major part of getting the movie distributed. Yeah,
that's right. You want the world to see it. That's your goal. That's your main goal. And if you keep that first before making money, you're going to achieve your goal, and the money will come next.
Fantastic. So let's move on a little bit. The next question is, how did you keep moving forward against all odds and criticism? Because I'm sure you had a lot of criticism about this movie as well.
Yeah, that's one of the things that fueled me was people telling me I couldn't do it, that I wasn't going to succeed, that it was hard to make a film and get it picked up in, Hollywood and all that stuff. And so for me, it goes back to a fortune cookie that I had as a kid that I never forgot. I picked it up on my computer when I did my work, and it was one of the great pleasures in life is doing what others say you cannot do.
Oh, isn't it just?
Yeah. And so whenever somebody says you couldn't do something or no, you can't do that, I just was like, okay, I'm going to prove you wrong. Watch me.
Yeah. I remember
say watch me.
I remember the story. There's a book in Australia. It was launched in Australia called You Were Wrong, Miss Phillips. Do you know about that one?
No.
It was this young boy at school who was hated by the teacher for some reason. And, he just had a different learning capability. It's like when I was at school, I always thought I had bad teachers because I was very creative and I like lights and I like movies and I like stuff like that. And they wanted me to write all the time. And for me, writing was just like, I didn't like it. So anyway, he's pulled out in front of the school and the teacher says, please don't be friends with this guy because he's a failure in life, which was just outrageous for a teacher to do this. And he did. After this point, he failed in his life miserably. And then he became Australia's biggest real estate tycoon, became a billionaire. And he wrote a book called You Were Wrong, Miss Phillips. And,
wow.
Yeah. And he's awesome. It's just like the same thing. For me, I was told I would never, ever make a go of Argon, which is my company in the Philippines. And 14 years later, they were wrong. And I really love it when people tell me I can't do it. So this was what you were facing?
Yep. A lot of people will not go for their dreams because they believe what people say about them. They believe their parents. They believe, oh, they're right. I can never achieve that. I can never do that. And they carry that with them their whole lives. But if you just don't believe anything anyone ever says negative to you in the first place, don't believe, because they don't know you. You're the only one who knows what you can do with your life and where you can go, and it's your choice. And so, yeah, I never believed it what anybody ever said, and I never took that with me personally. I just said, oh, I'm going to do it. And now it goes with anything at all. It's just, and I hope that everybody, that is going through a lot of issues because of the way they were raised, that they hear this, because a lot of people are stuck because of what their parents made them believe about themselves. And I hope that can come out of that and just realize that none of it is true.
And of course, it's just their opinion, and they could actually be wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's fantastic. All right. The next question I'd like to ask you is, how did you build business relationships and know who to work with and who you can trust? And this also kind of links into a question I've got from Dan, which is he's working with someone who's a featured actor in 14 films, 5 of them with really high budget, but he's unknown as a screenwriter. How does he overcome this issue of his screenwriter not being known? And how do you build business relationships? How do you know who you can trust?
Yeah, that one I talked about at the last interview, and I can go into that again. And for me, it's about energy. And I come from a metaphysical background and slash spiritual. So when I meet people and when I choose to work with people, it's really I look into their eyes, and I don't extend a hand, I extend a hug. And if they come back, if they're open with love and with real genuine interest, you're going to feel it. They're going to tell you. If you talk with them, if they're doing it just for the money, I normally don't work with them. I have to see that they're doing it for more than just the money, that they really believe in a project or the message or me. And that love exchange, that energy, that true friendship is really there. And so to answer that, look, it's the eyes, it's the energy they give you when you hug them. And that's not a normal thing in the business world. It's all handshakes and head nods. But I take that with me everywhere. With everyone who even wears a tie and nice shiny shoes, I extend 2 arms, and I see their reaction. It's a big smile, and if they really feel warm, I say, okay, I can work with this person.
And for some of them, I bet it's the only time they've been hugged that week.
Yep.
It probably makes them feel very good.
Yeah, try that. Whoever's listening, if you're listening to this, try that with someone you want to work with or you plan to collaborate with on something or partnership with. Try giving them a hug, and you will know right away if you can trust that person.
Awesome. I know as I walk down my street, when I first moved in about 5 or 6 years ago into where I live now, I started saying good morning to all the security guards. And they all used to look at me like I was crazy. And now some of them are like really close friends, and I know their names and their lives and everything. It's really cool. It's just not normal.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that there's some places that are like that. I'm from Texas. And everybody says hi and a warm, friendly handshake or a smile or a hug, and everyone says hi. If anyone you walk by the street will say hi, how are you? When I came to LA, it was definitely culture shock for me. It's still hard for me to get used to just walking by somebody and not even looking at them.
Yeah, I was in LA about 7 years ago, and I was walking from one hotel to another hotel. It was about 4 blocks. And in that distance, I actually had 2 cars stop to ask me if I was okay because I was walking. It was weird. It was a weird city.
Wow.
Yeah. So going back to Dan's question, for me, Michael, the how well a person is known is not a deciding factor for me in whether I like something or not. And if this is a great script and the person behind it is a great guy, and you feel good about it, I would go with it, and run with this script and build it and see where it goes.
Yeah, I don't necessarily look at if I'm going to hire somebody or work with someone. The first thing I look at is not what they've done. I ask them, or it's not how well they're known, but I like to see their work, and I make my own opinions on it. So, for someone like that, I would just say, let me see your work. Look at what they've done. Read it. If it really, really, really feels good to you and you really like what they're doing, then that's the person. Don't, just because they're not well known, how do you know you're going to like what they're doing? You got to look at what they've done. That's what I have to say. And
I guess once upon a time, Michael Perlin was completely unknown as well. And first movie, first script, first everything.
Yep.
And so was Tim Bennett.
Yeah, and I have screenplays, and if somebody were to say, "Oh, we want you to write something," I'd give them my screenplays and say, "Well, this is what I've done." If they ask me, they want to see what I've done, or they say, "I want you to direct something," and they're going to want to see the movie I made. They're not going to ask me, "Well, how big is he in the industry? What is his ranking on IMDb?" I think that's going to be, Hollywood studios will do that. But if you're independent, you don't look for that. You look at what they've done and how good it is in your own eyes.
Great. Okay, so let's move on a bit. The next question you asked, I'm going to ask you, was how were you able to get the film financed? But I think we've actually answered that pretty well.
Well, there's some right now. I would just say if you're trying to raise money for a film, Kickstarter, put the trailer on Kickstarter. A lot of people are succeeding in getting money for their film that way.
And how do you connect with people in Kickstarter? Because there's so many movies out there that you could possibly invest money in. Like let's say I was looking to invest in a movie. What would it be about your presentation, or what would you suggest to people? How would you make it different from others so that you can, attract me to your movie rather than going somewhere else?
Do you mean like what the trailer, or what to put the content?
The content of the presentation on Kickstarter. Is it sufficient to say I'm going to give you a credit and how should you do it?
Here's what I've noticed. This is interesting that you brought this up because I was thinking this, and with the people that are making the money on Kickstarter and the ones that aren't, and I noticed that the ones that are bringing in money are the ones that are most of them are documentaries. I haven't really seen the dramas doing it, but these documentaries are the ones that are discussing something that is either a movement or an awareness that's going to bring back some kind of change for the world. People are really into supporting those kind of things. And, the green movies about going green and sustainability and Nikola Tesla and, bringing back things, technology that we can end pollution and end war and things like that. It's like that's really in right now. And people are wanting to invest in projects like that because they're ready for the world to change.
That's an interesting observation. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about a little bit before. It was about emotional involvement. People are emotionally involved in these things already and have very strong opinions of them.
Yeah, and let me tell you what I think also works is not just doing a trailer, but also doing a video of the director, an introduction, just a nice intro of who you are and why you're making the movie. You can put that before or after the trailer. I've seen that work well too.
That's an awesome idea. And I remember I was talking to Gina Gaudio-Graves about a month ago. I did a call with her about film financing and how to use the internet to drive people to your movie. And even before you've made the movie, you can get, I'm thinking of doing a scene this way. What do you think about it? And you can get people's feedback. And, using the internet to find out what people like, what they want to see is a very powerful tool, I think, to a filmmaker because, there's the dream movie in my head, but it's not necessarily what people want to see or hear.
Right. Some people might have an idea that they want to do, and it might be So here's the thing, though. I have a friend that's making gangster movies, and he's succeeding. He's doing well. So I'm not going to say that one over the other is doing better or not or worse, but so make films where your heart is. If your heart is in making shoot 'em up films with pretty women, then do it. But you've got to figure out how to market that. It's not, and the way he succeeded in his was he had some actors. He had some pretty good name actors in it that he was able to use the internet to market with their names, and so he was able to get a huge number of traffic coming to his site and people seeing the movie. So there's all these little elements, there's all these ingredients that you can find that would work for you. If you've got a name actor, of course that's going to work.
And this was your first film. Why did you choose to go with a documentary rather than a fiction film?
Well, it's because I saw all my friends, all my filmmaker friends around me, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on their first film, on their first drama or feature drama, and failing miserably because they had no concept of story. And I didn't want to have to go through that. I knew that I felt that I believed that I had a concept of story. Of course, all filmmakers believe that. But are they going to succeed on their first try? Spielberg didn't even succeed on his first film. So with that in mind, I said, okay, I'm going to documentary first, because you don't necessarily have to have a smooth story flow going through in a documentary. You don't have to do it that way. It can work. You can do it all kinds of different ways. And so I just went on the safe route. I wanted to get my feet wet first before I attacked real drama.
And I guess in a documentary, you don't even need to have that good an acting skill either, do you?
Nope, that's the other thing too. You don't have to worry about the acting. So any of those elements can destroy your movie: the acting, the directing, and the story. So with a documentary, all you got to worry about is yourself.
Fantastic. So what are your plans now for the Three Magic Words and for Michael Perlin? Where are you going next?
Well, it's getting translated into every major language. Right now we're up to 14. And we're doing now distribution in the Philippines, thanks to you.
We are indeed. So are we 15?
What's that?
Are we country number 15?
No, we're subtitled now in 14 languages, and it's the U.S. It's distributed now in the U.S. and Canada, and we're just about to get India, so we're just going international now.
Wow, that's awesome! And India is such a huge market. That'd be very interesting to see what goes on out there.
I know, it'd be fantastic. It's a huge market, but not everybody can afford to pay for a movie, so you have to target the right areas.
And that reminds me, during the interview last week, I had someone ask us about how do you market on an international scale? How do you do that?
Yeah.
You're in your office in US. How do you market out in India?
Yep. I have not sold the foreign distribution rights. So because I wanted to keep that for myself, because that way I have complete control of how it's going to get there. And currently I use a site called TripStar, which is a DVD manufacturing website, which does everything for you: the labeling, the burning, and the shipping.
And what's that site called again?
It's TREPSTAR.
Okay, TripStar.
Yeah, the two magic words for filmmakers, independent filmmakers, with their own, distributing their film on their own, is TripStar and Filmbinder. Filmbinder is the video on demand rental that goes straight to your PayPal, and you keep 100% of the revenue. Great company.
Excellent.
And and then the other one is TripStar, that will ship out your DVDs for you. All you got to do is upload your film and then put the link up where people can buy it. And it even has a geo filter, so you can have countries filtered out that you don't want buying it from that site. And that's how I'm able to keep it kosher with the U.S. distributor. So, right now I'm selling the DVD internationally. People are buying it from all over the world.
That is amazing.
Currently, yeah.
The internet has really opened up the world to us as filmmakers. The cost before of 20, 30 years ago, the cost of doing that would have been so high. And now you can retain control of it and do it from your living room in your house.
Not only that, but technology has given the filmmaking, which used to be a rich man's game, into the hands of anybody. You can take an HD camera and make their own movie.
Yeah, I love going back to what you said at the beginning, was that you went onto eBay and just brought your own green screen.
Right. Yeah, just like 10 years ago, I was sitting in somebody's house, and he was so proud. He was making this independent film on Tupac, and he had these stacks and stacks and stacks of Avid hard drives. Remember those?
Yep.
They were like 5 powers of stacks of these Avid, and he's like so proud. He's like, this unit cost me $100,000. It's so awesome, And I'm looking at it, and I knew that there was something wrong with this picture. I knew. I was just looking at all this stuff, and I'm just like thinking, like, in just 2 years, it's going to be the size of a CD player. And it's just like, come on, and I wasn't going to make a film and waste $100,000 on an editing bay that I didn't even know how to use. It's just, I don't even know where that film went, but I never heard of it again. But so that's the thing. Yeah, anybody can do it now. Just don't waste your money on things you don't need anymore.
So true. Well, listen, Michael, it's been awesome talking to you, and I know that we could probably talk for another 6 or 7 hours about this subject and beyond. How do people get to see you, get to see the movie? Where can they go and find out more about what you're doing?
Yes, thank you for asking. They can go to 3magicwordsmovie.com, and you can send me an email. Feel free to holler out to me. And if you, right now, it's on Netflix. It's going to be, I don't know how much longer it'll be on Netflix, so you can always catch it on that. So
I've got a slide up at the moment, and it's got your website on it. It's www.3magicwordsmovie.com, and 3 is the number 3. So that's 3magicwordsmovie.com. That's how you can connect in with Michael and see the movie and find out what the 3 magic words are. The 3 magic words, in my opinion, if you allow them to, can change your life. No, Michael?
Absolutely. And don't be shocked when you hear them, because it might go against your dogmatic programming if you're a religious person. That's all I would say. It's just keep an open mind. I tell people it's like the little R-rated symbol, on the movies. It warns you.
Yeah.
Keep an open mind. And, some material may be spiritually challenging.
Yeah, and what I liked about what happened in the movie, after you announced the 3 magic words, you do go and explain it in the context that it's meant.
Yeah.
And I think that's really
very
cool.
important.
Very important.
My dad came up with that idea. My dad came up with that idea.
Well, good dad.
He's like, you know what? I don't get it. These words are kind of shocking to me. I'm like, he said, maybe you should have some people on the street tell you their opinion about it and what they think. And I said, well, actually, I have a whole bunch of outtakes of footage I did in the street. And he said, put it there, put it here at the end so you can explain it for the layman. And I'm like, you're right. And that's when so yeah, it's good to have a dad.
It is indeed. I think you did a great job there. And I got to ask you, because I heard there's a story behind this. Why is the movie 71 minutes long? Is that right?
Yeah, it's 71 minutes.
Why is it 71?
Well, it was originally 60 minutes long. The editor decided he wanted to make it short. He decided, people are not going to want to sit through a long documentary, so keep it short. And I didn't agree with him. I was like, well, we have a lot of footage. We should put more in it. So when we brought it to Warner Brothers, they were looking at it and they said, this doesn't fit our requirements. It has to be 71 minutes long. And I'm like, well, okay, it's gonna. And I knew it was. I can do the director's cut. So I went back and I put in 11 more minutes, and that was the 11 more minutes. My dad's suggestion of those outtakes, and they loved it. It really worked. It was like it really put the icing on the cake for this film.
And the reason I ask this, because I think it's an important part, is that no matter what you want to do, you can only sell what people want to buy. And you would have missed a huge opportunity in connecting with a major distributor if you hadn't have found out their requirements. And I think this is important that people do their homework before they complete everything. Find out what your audience wants and needs. And, you gotta make a little bit based around what they want as well. It can't all just be what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so
a little luck.
And a little luck, it always helps, yes. Well, I'm kind of hoping for some luck today. We're launching our movie today in the cinemas and around the Philippines.
Good luck.
And I'm keeping my fingers crossed. It is an exciting moment. I got it. Yeah, I got involved in movies about a year ago. It's something I've wanted to do since I was 15. And, I've been in the Philippines for 14 years now. And the cost of making a movie out here is substantially different. And for, $20,000, you can make a very good movie. And if anyone's interested in doing that out here, we can certainly help you. And also distribution. Michael and I are about to launch his movie, The 3 Magic Words, in in the Philippines, and we're going to handle the distribution here for him. So thank you for that, Michael. That's a really awesome thing for me
Thank
to
you,
do.
Tim.
I'm really looking
So
forward to working with you on this.
I am too, and so I can bring my next film with 20 grand. I can bring it to you, and we can make it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm looking for you're going to come over on our launch night, I hope, with Three Magic Words in the Philippines.
Yes, I do want to come.
That would be fantastic. So let me go and organize all that, and I'll get back to you on a date. Thank you so much for being here today. It's been awesome talking to you. You're really a nice guy, and I love your humility and your message and everything.
Thank you so much, Tim. I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate it being up.
Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Perlin, the Three Magic Words at www.threemagicwordsmovie.com. This is Tim Bennett from Argonette.com, and this is Awesome FM, where we interview awesome people, and just by being here, you are awesome. Thanks very much for listening. I'm going to go and turn this into an audio now, and I'll send you all a link so you can listen to it again. Michael, thanks so much for being here. I really love talking to you, and see you very soon.
Thanks, brother.